Shiesty's back. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
This video is brought to you by BETUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. This podcast is brought to you by BETUS, where the games begin. Let's talk about it, man. Cincinnati Bengals football was played last week, Zim. We were able to see a lot of the players that we've been talking about. No more, fake analysis, looking at training camp highlights. We got an actual game. How are you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing really good, man. I'm fresh off the beach. I ran back in town just to come back, talk some football with you all. So I'm very, very happy to be here. Yeah, man, like that was a good game. And on top of that, I just feel like here we are. We got a lot of different things that we were concerned about or thought about or whatever. We got all those things hashed out. So this is a great opportunity to kind of recap. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Definitely, for sure. Speaking of recap, we're going to talk about Amarius Mims and his injury. Also, the return of Trent Brown. Then the cat is out of the bag. The Bengals have orange pants now? I guess so. We'll talk about all the kind of different combinations coming up. Of course, we're going to recap the Bengals versus Bucs game. We kind of teased it with Joe Burrow. A lot of stuff going on there. And then roster moves. Are there some other roster moves that the Bengals should look into? We'll discuss all that coming up next.
Catch made. It's a Bengals touchdown.
All right, Zan, we got to start off with some somber news. Not too bad, though. Amarius Mims was sidelined after playing the entire game. So this is what kind of was confusing with this situation. Head coach Jack Taylor said that he's optimistic. He thinks that Mims will miss several weeks. It's a pec strain. A lot of people are thinking that he can potentially be back. This might take him out of the running to be the starter because Zach was asked today. He said that he wouldn't take anything off of the table in terms of Mims starting, but obviously this puts a little bit of a damper on that. I felt like he was trending in the right direction. What are your thoughts on the Amarius Mims situation as it currently stands?
Well, I was I was prepared to talk about how good he looked in the game. And, I don't know. Do you want me to go into the game function of it, or do you want me to talk about the injury portion first?
The injury portion for now. We're going to get to the game portion a little later on. So for now, just like the injury and stuff like that, because it kind of was, I don't know about you, but it was kind of like, what? This came out of nowhere. Like I'm listening to Zach's conference, and then he just drops that bomb on us.
Yeah, I saw it. I was actually, like I said, I was on the road coming back from the beach, and it popped up on my phone. It could be worse. It could. We've seen a William Jackson torn pack. I think overall, to me it has no bearing on any of the soft tissue, stuff that he had when he was in college. I feel like this is a totally different thing. But here we go again with people kind of projecting the whole notion of injury prone. And to me, I just feel like this is a totally isolated event. I think that they're being extra precautionary about a guy that I think that they know that they'll need. Like if any of our important players had a strain of any bit of sort, I think he would definitively say, we're shutting him down. We'll see you week one. And I think he kind of left a little bit of opportunity. You saw Mims there today. If it was real serious, I think that they would have took him and started getting treatment around the clock, like doing other things and not having him just showing up. Nothing of noteworthy, like anything. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's a big deal. But overall, you start to kind of feed into the whole concept of, man, this dude is not, healthy. And you hope that it doesn't continue, because one of the things that I said coming into this game is I want to see Mims play pretty much a whole game, because I anticipate Trent Brown probably starting when the season comes. That has changed within the last week or so, where I think it's been realistically, because Trent Brown has been hurt, I've been thinking Amarius Mims might start. Right. So I was like, in order to get past that whole college, he's injury prone thing, let's see him play him. I would, if he had not got that strain, I would have said against Bums, let's see him for a whole nother game. And that was part of the conversation around Mims and why he failed to pick number 18. It's because it wasn't that he was raw. It's just not that many snaps on tape.
No, I feel you. Like you said, it was not many snaps, and it was, the random injuries that he had. I think we're lucky that it was just a pec strain, like you kind of pointed out. It's not a torn pec. It's not the end of the world. So the fact that he could be back in a couple of weeks, I think that actually stands out as not being too crazy in terms of that. As we talked about, that opens the door up for Trent Brown, who returned today. He began team drills today and looks like he's the number one right tackle at the moment. He was working with the first team. That's a good problem to have, and that's one of the reasons why the Bengals needed the depth, right? You never know whether it's going to be a Trent Brown injury, which happened earlier in camp. Mims was able to step in. Now Brown is able to step in case of Mims, and you're not looking at a guy like Jackson Carman, who struggled mightily being in the starting lineup. You're not looking at a Cochran being in the starting lineup. You're not looking at an Isaiah Prince being in the starting lineup. So the fact that they're able to pivot to a guy that was supposed to be originally the starter anyway, Trent Brown, is good to me, because now he can work in with the first team offense. He can get that participation. It'll be interesting to see, are they going to put Trent Brown out there in the preseason, because he's got to get in football shape. He's got to get some kind of continuity with some of these offensive line starters. So I think right now, Trent Brown being back and going through team drills is somewhat a relief, right? Like, these aren't the Bengals of old where it's like, oh my gosh, let's panic and do all of this and that because who's going to block for Joe Burrow? You feel like Trent Brown is a good answer for replacing Mims, right?
I think he fits perfectly what the Bengals want to do. I've said that since the very beginning. A lot of people, I think this is the power of like groupthink to me, or people might just have a gut instinct and just be like, I don't believe in Trent Brown long term. Me personally, I didn't have that feeling. Like his comments last week, he sounded like the oldest player on the team that knows exactly what he's got to do to be good in the league. And everybody's not going to wake up and be like, man, I'm chomping at the bit. Like that's not realistic. Like one of my pet peeves with the internet right now is that if you don't say exactly what somebody else would say or do exactly what somebody else wants to do, they get offended by it or something like that. Like, I can't believe Mims is like, not Mims, but Trent Brown is not eager to like, what do you want him to do at this stage?
I don't know, bro. Like,
I just feel like he's a dog. They had some reps at practice and I posted, shout out to a lot of different reporters that had posted this and I had reposted it. He was out there just packing dudes up, and then he would get back in line and be like, just another day. And I just really feel like that's who he is. Like, he rides horses and he just does not care. He's like one of them dudes that just be like, hold my beer. Like,
yeah, he's a football player, bro. Some guys are just about football. Like, I don't think Trey Hendrickson is like the warmest guy, but who cares? Like, I don't care how you interact really with the media. I care about how you play on a football field. Like, that's cool, right, and all. Like, I get that that's your job. We just seen LeBron not be super nice to a kid in Paris. Who cares? Like, that's part of it. Like, if LeBron James can do something like that, I feel like anybody can. So to me, I'm not really tripping on it. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, I don't care about the PR unless it's something crazy. It's not like this guy is going out throwing his teammates under the bus or like talking about somebody on the coaching staff. Like, he literally just wants to play football. So like, for me, I agree with you, bro. Like, who cares? Like, I don't care about his body language. I don't care about none of that. Like, Can Trent Brown go out there and block TJ Watt? Because that's literally all I care about. I don't care about any of the other stuff. Can you block Myles Garrett? That's what I care about.
Right. And I mean, and I just think for what the Bengals are doing, you watch that first drive. Yes, they ran the football, and I like the distribution and with that. And a lot of people, we're going to talk about the game in a second. I talked about like the run game. I just don't think that the Bengals are going to be like, they might be like middle of the pack, like running team this NFL season, and that might still make them the number one offense. Trent Brown is here, literally. Amarius Mims is here, literally, to deal with some of the best edge rushers in the NFL one-on-one on the island. Joe Burrow is one of the few quarterbacks that just uses 5-man protection. I've been watching and getting a lot of information on a lot of other quarterbacks. CJ Stroud is a guy in year one that had a lot of play action, 6-man protections, tight end, inline, using that, going under center. Joe Burrow is not the same. Joe Burrow is a guy that is going to spread people out, pause, the whole entire defense, and then say, these are my wide receivers. And I just think that Trent Brown and Amarius Mims are literally here because that's what they do well. And everybody can't be a hometown kid. Sam Hubbard, shout out to Ted Karras in the sense everybody can't be that. And you need some dogs, and you need some people, that represent a little bit of a different bit of what I call like, I just don't give a damn. And you need a couple guys like that I don't think Trent Brown's going to talk that much unless his obligations after the game. But what I do think that you'll see is that throughout the season, there will be some guys that could probably get past him that have tremendous bend, that get lower level. And I swear I better not hear no Bengals fan talking trash about this dude when y'all were so tight-lipped about the other dude that we just gave up, Jonah Williams, that gave up 12 sacks. So we're not going to act like Trent Brown is like public enemy number one if he gives up a sack or two. It's going to happen. Newsflash. But overall, if you give him 30 reps, I bet you he'd pack you up on 20-something of them, 26 to 28, and that's why he's here. And everybody's got to understand, like, he's one of the best island tackles in the National Football League. He is not paid to get here and have a great attitude about that. And when everybody gets on board with that, and we're a lot better than what we are, what we've been, we'll be fine.
For sure. Now let's shift to some news, bro. The Bengals orange pants are here. Looks like they were leaked, bro. Looks like somebody was on Madden. I don't know if they had an early release or what, but somebody noticed that the Bengals had orange pants on Madden, and they started to put it out there on social media, and then you see the Bengals Twitter say, what's your shorts on that? Next thing we know, the cat is out of the bag. Bengals getting the orange pants. Like, bro, this is crazy. Like, what a time to be alive. We always talk about swag. These are swaggy, in my opinion. Like, we've never seen – I don't feel like we've seen the orange pants. I don't know if we've ever seen orange pants, bro. Like, I don't think I remember, like, the orange joints back in the day, like – I actually had like a Corey Dillon joint, but I don't think the pants were orange, bro. Like, this is new territory for the Bengals, and us being in the fashion, I just feel like this is fire. I can't wait to see what combos they do with this. I can't wait to see which games they roll this out at. This is getting crazy. And do we got another helmet coming too? Like, this is kind of crazy, bro. Like, what were your initial thoughts? I know you're not a big uniform guy, but I know you like the drip, like, in terms of just drip in general. What are your thoughts on these pants, bro? Because I feel like they're kind of fire.
Man, I do think that they're going to be fire. And I remember the number one thing when the Bengals had me come to the stadium when we dropped the brand new alternates and everything like that. I thought the best thing that we had at the time was the white and orange pants. And it's something about the orange, like in conjunction with the other ones. I think that if they come with I'm really more interested to see the combinations. Y'all gotta go. Shout out! I just tweeted this out. Shout out to my boy Seth. Seth put together a couple of different combinations, and I just tweeted out on my Twitter or Zim or whatever. But bro, I'm very interested to see the combos because the all orange or the white top. Do they do the alternate with it or do they do the standard? That's what I'm really, really interested to see. But like you said, you know way more about the uniforms and all that stuff than me. I don't really keep up with the stuff as much though.
Yeah, man. I mean, to me, like, what combo are you going with? I think the all orange is gonna look kind of crazy. Like the all orange. I've seen people do the black joint, like you said. Like we just pulled up our boy Seth Reese's stuff, man. Like, whoo, that's nasty, bro.
Look at the white. Look at the white top. The next one, like if you go to me. That's very unorthodox. I don't think that they would pair them like that, but it looks so fire to me. Like I don't think that they would do that, but that looks crazy. And then the all orange one. If you're listening to this on the podcast or you're streaming at all, please make sure y'all go follow us on YouTube, Wincinnati Pod or whatever. But the all orange one is the one that I think that they unveil. I think that that's the one that they're going to do this season.
Yeah, the all orange joint is gonna be like, I feel like the Bengals are setting trends. Everybody started doing the whole white helmets, and nobody looks like ours. Like I don't even know why it's even a contest, because there's no competition. Now we got the orange joints. Like the Bengals are slowly becoming like, I don't feel biased. They're slowly becoming some of the best uniforms I feel like in the league, with all the different combinations and stuff like that. You even talk about how we also have the color rush joints too. Like ever since the color rush joints, the Bengals have just been knocking it out of the park. But we got to pay some bills, so I'm gonna bring in our sponsor BETUS to discuss some of their information.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
A 1-yard loss on that play. The blitz is on. Read by Burrow. Tee Higgins has a Bengal touchdown.
All right, Zimmy, the moment we've been waiting for. Bengals versus Bucs recap. Bengals lose 17-14, but a lot to take out of this game, right? Like there's a lot I feel like that we saw. Me personally, Joe Burrow on the offense is clicking. Underrated aspect of it, defense came out and got a 3-and-out. Like offense just seemed like it was on fire. The wrist is good, clearly. Tee Higgins is ready to go, clearly. We might have some things to figure out with the offensive line in terms of run blocking, but the offensive line, like Joe Burrow could have went to Buskin's Bakery, went and grabbed some La Rosas, grabbed a Skyline, made a Sky Rosa, and then drop back and still pass. Like after that, the way that this offensive line was looking. Bro, what were your thoughts? Because I know you were in playback live reacting to this. Like I jumped in there a couple of times. Talk to me like about what your thoughts were from the game, because we actually haven't talked about the game.
I was about to say, where do we begin, partner? Because like, do you? I was very, shout out to Bengals Post. I got a lot of people. I hope Mon and Jake and Eric. I saw Eric in. I got a lot of people that hit me and said, "Man, they were really down on the game, and it was totally different than me." Like I walked away from that game and said, "The Bengals are going to a Super Bowl." Like I noted that. Like I just thought it was so crazy that we were on the opposite end of the spectrum on this. Mm-hmm. If you choose to focus on the elephant in the room is the run defense, right? If you chose to focus on that, that's fine. But I just think that McKinley Jackson not being there, Sheldon Rankins not being there, BJ Hill not playing like meaningful snaps or anything like that. Like all these guys like that, to me, like being the focal point of that was to me the biggest eyesore to me. But aside from that, and I don't think that that's their real run D right there. I really don't. But aside from that, I mean, Tee Higgins, bro.
He on one.
Bro. We were talking about this the other day on the phone. I don't know if I'm calling on all Bengals fans, and this weird thing happened in the Jesse Bates and the mixing thing or whatever. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. if dude does not sign back here and we don't figure this thing out, do not hit me and say we're better off without Tee Higgins. Like, I will, like, shut up. Shut up. Bro was out that joint in double coverage, probably should have caught the 50-yard dot by Joe Burrow. And just from the beginning of this whole process, whether it was OTAs, camp, anything you can name up, he's first in line in the drills, and he's absolutely murdering. You could say, oh, well, I mean, it's a contract year. I don't care. Bro, he looks like a top 10 wide receiver. Like there's no, like, for a guy that we drafted on our own, and then to see him, like, the maturation of him be like this, bro, he looked like the Bengals in their first drive look unstoppable to me. And I know it's against the Bucs, but the Bucs defensive front, and remember I told you about Raheem Jarrett in that show. I said I want to see him against the corners and stuff. But, like, the Bucs were a playoff team, and the Bucs were playing some guys that are going to play, like, some meaningful snaps. But it's just the overall, like, how I thought the offense looked and functioned. The Chase Brown runs in conjunction with that, and then the ability when Joe Burrow saw the one-on-one with Tee Higgins, he took it. And when he's singled up, I think people forget Tee Higgins with that size and that speed and being able, like, the corner had to respect it. Like, you can't buy that. Like Burton, we're going to talk about Burton. We're going to talk about whatever. You can't pay for it. And we be talking about this all the time. If we just threw a ball to Jamar Chase on the first play of every game, it would make every corner back up. The corner had to respect Tee Higgins so much that he had to play off. Soon as Burrow sees that, like, bro, it's as soon as he threw the touchdown, threw the pass, I'm in playback. I'm like, bro, that's a touchdown. Like, it's that easy with him. And I just think that we're seeing all that without Jamar Chase. And that throw that Joe Burrow threw to Tee Higgins, it's a dot. The throw that he threw to Yoshi on 3rd and 12, I know I'm not going to really elaborate too much on the rest of the game because the first drive with the starting five and the whole team, that's kind of like how I'm looking. Like, I think that's what our team looks like. Like, it looks like Chase Brown not patient enough on some of the runs. They're not going to be the best running team of all time, but they threw some. The one screen that they could have threw to him, Sample missed the block. He had 30 yards in front of him, so you got to respect the screen. And I just thought they were efficient. I thought Joe Burrow was on fire. Let's just start with just the first drive. When you go to the plate, talk to me about that before we get into some of the other stuff.
Bro, the first drive was crazy because Joe started off like Joe. You talk about 5 of 6. The drop from Tee Higgins was the 5 of 6, like double coverage in between two defenders. I think if that's regular season, T's coming down with that ball, like, for sure. Like, the way he was out there commanding the offense, like we've said, and like we said on our last show, who would guess that this dude is coming off of an injury? Because it doesn't look like it whatsoever. He was sharp back there. He was decisive. You couldn't even tell Jamar Chase wasn't there. Like you said, like, he was hitting Trent Irwin. Like, it just was like the Bucs couldn't stop the Bengals and that first team offense whatsoever. Chase Brown had like one explosive run, but then like you said, like, the only concern was really the rushing offense, which that's not nothing new. Like, we tried to tell, like, I'm not trying to take a victory lap because obviously this is a preseason game. This is not Zach Moss. This is not any of that stuff. But, like, there was more that went into the run game struggling than just one person in particular. And we saw some of that rear its ugly head. Now, that's not to say I hope that it stays like that. I think, like you said, I think they can get to the middle of the pack with this. But I also saw some things that gave me encouragement in the run game. And I think even looking at the PFF grade for Chase Brown, his pass blocking grade was pretty good. The fact that they said that Zach Moss is going to return and be that guy, be the RB1, I think that that'll help them out. The wide receiver position, like, this looks like the best wide receiver group in football. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we've had weapons in the past. I don't know if we've had the weapons, the speed. Like, Gesicki didn't even get targeted, bro. Like, these weapons are, like, crazy.
Bro,
the under center, the empty.
Call me a homer. I don't care. I'm a Bengals fan, so naturally I'm rooting for the Bengals. But tell me this, though. If the Bengals look like that without Jamar Chase and no Burton on the first drive, What do people think is going to happen? What do you think? Like, what do you think that he's going to come out there with Jamar Chase and not look like, bro? Yeah, they said his wrist was cooked. They said he wasn't going to throw a football ever again. He launches a 50-yard pass in between two people. That's a dot, like in his second throw. And then he comes out there, and then you looking at the offensive line with Amarius Mims, and you're like, okay, that's the best tackle that he's ever had. Like immediately, like, bro, that's the best tackle he's ever had. Like he's like on some jump, like, bro, Goodberry and all these people that cut it up. I went and rewatched it again today, dog. There's nothing that I feel like he can't do, bro. Like, I think the only thing that could stop him probably is an injury, bro. Like, just looking at him, he's so much larger than every other person that is on the field, which is insane in the National Football League. And then we're talking about weapons. And then think about it. Guys like Charlie Joneses of the world, all of these dudes that, would play a role on like any of those teams let's just stick AFC North. Charlie Jones would have a pivotal role, like if he was on any of them teams. Like, we're not even talking about him. How about the catch that Trent Irwin had? Trent Irwin is sitting there saying, how dare y'all not talk about me as wide receiver 3? I've been putting in work all this time. Y'all just gonna write me off? Trent Irwin is a dog. Trent Irwin is always available. And then I just come back to the same point. I'm telling y'all right now, everybody should be like, do whatever y'all want to do. I'm telling y'all right now, the reason why all our ops Photoshop Tee Higgins on their jersey is because of what they saw on Saturday night. Is because when he's out there, I've read comments that say, bro, Joe Burrow could cook with anybody. He doesn't have to, bro. The front office, bro, they shall give us an apology right now, bro. That dude is really good. That is a really good wide receiver, bro. And you could tell because when you're playing against some of the best athletes in the world and these dudes are standing out like that, I don't care if it's preseason, bro. Like Tee Higgins, when he was on the field, he looked like the best wide receiver and almost the best player on the field. When Joe Burrow was out there, he looked like he couldn't be stopped. The only incompletion was a blown screen. Like I said, if that was regular season, he might have tried to extend that play and throw it. Chase Brown had a lot of room in front of him, but Sample had missed the block. And then the Tee Higgins dot. Like, bro, he left off where they showed a graphic on the screen that showed Joe Burrow from week 5 to week 10. And remember, everybody told us that Joe Burrow had a down year. They showed a graphic from week 5 to week 10 when Joe Burrow was healthy, where he had the number 1 rating in football, throwing at 74.5 completion percentage. Mind you, Joe Burrow is the number 1, has the number 1 completion percentage in the history of the National Football League after 4 seasons already anyway. What do people think? I was on my AFC North show, you probably been on your AFC. Like, what do people think that Vegas is just playing around out here? They're just like, we just want to, any, mini, money, let's just pick the Bengals. Like, what? They be like, Bengals fans be bragging about Super Bowl. Yeah, bro, back-to-back AFC championship games. What team did that besides the 49ers and the Chiefs? We're one of the best teams in football, and Joe Burrow comes out there on Saturday night when all my ops saying, y'all gonna play him? I don't know about that because you scared. And he came out there and cooked.
He cooked, bro. I mean, won 9 games last year with Joe Burrow out of there against the hardest schedule. Like, what are you expecting, bro? Like, but let's talk about. So we talked about the first drive. What do you think about the first team defense? Because one thing that flew under the radar was the quick 3 and out that they had. Jermaine Pratt made a play. Dax Hill at corner now, like seeing him on the outside with DJ Turner on the inside and the nickel. Like, bro, the defense, like, I get it. Like, second team, third team defense was shaky for sure. But first team defense, I thought looked pretty decent. Like, they look like a middle of the pack type defense. That's what we expect from them, right? To force those 3 and outs, get a ball back to the offense. But let's switch to the defensive side of the ball. Like, what are your thoughts on what the defense looked like early in this game and later in the game?
We can get to the defense, but I got to get back to Burton now.
Oh yeah, we could go with Burton for sure.
At some point, let's go defense. I gotta wrap up the preseason with Burton because I got something special with Burton. The defense, I just feel like this. this is my realistic expectations. The Bengals defense will not be better than the Cleveland Browns defense. The Bengals defense probably won't be better than the Baltimore Ravens defense. And maybe there's an argument, maybe not better than the Steelers. Who knows? We'll see, right? The thing that I do know is that the Bengals are built to have a lead with their quarterback. And if they do, I was looking at those dudes with Jordan Battle ready to take anybody's head off if you dare try to throw the football. I was looking at Dax Hill now on the outside, probably playing one of the better games that he's ever had as a pro. Well, now that he's on the outside, and then he's just totally cooking people like me that say, I don't know about him on the outside. I think he looks okay on the outside. Yeah. The run defense was the big problem, but I think so many key pieces that we need in the run defense weren't there. The pass rush of Said and Osai, they was going crazy on them dudes in the third, fourth quarter. And as bad as the run defense was, the score was 7-7. Like, everybody was like, bro, we're getting killed. I'm like, the score is 7-7. Lou is always talking about giving up yards, bend don't break type of defense. And I thought you saw some of that, right? It's like you saw some of that, and then they condense the field when it's time to condense it. But the difference, I think, this time is the guys in the back end, the Geno Stones of the world, the battles on the back end and all the dudes like that, I thought were crazy. The kid, the undrafted free agent dude that you just had going across the screen, looked like a dog. Like, where did that dude come from?
John Meta was going crazy.
John Meta was everywhere. The other kid, Bell up front, who we picked up late last year, but we never got a chance to see him, was killing. The dude Davis up front, Dominique Davis. Like, we don't have that many big guys up front right now, the 320 pounds plus guys. I thought he had some good rushes and stuff. There was a lot to me. The game was like 7-7 for the longest. It was like 10-7 for a little bit. And then and everybody's like, the defense is terrible. I'm like, defense look like what I think it's going to look like. Can you imagine the defense with Burrow playing with a lead and you're still trying to run the football? You think you're going to run the football on the Bengals and you're down 10 points to Joe Burrow cooking? Like, it's not happening, bro.
That's not happening.
And that's the difference. That, to me, that's the realistic expectations that I have for the defense. When they have a lead, their secondary is like, now I think a lot of people are underrating their secondary. The secondary is super underrated to me. I think that Geno Stone on the back end and Von Bell, and then you got Mike Hilton in the slot, and then you got and then now I want to get on the Dax Hill one real quick. For the first time, we've been getting past what it takes to be elite on the outside with corners. We hit it all this time with Eli Apple. What if Dax Hill, with that reach, that arm length, that speed, is actually a legitimate corner on the outside? And a lot of those clips that we were looking at, look at his responsibilities, pushing guys to the boundary of the sideline, being able to play variations of cover one where he's in man at some points, and we're going to show you in a second. He's in man. Look at that. But he's carrying the depth of the wide receiver to the point. I'm locking you up. I'm strapping you up. That's a seatbelt. You're not, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like, look at the makeup speed on that. Those are the things that Eli Apple and the guys that we had at corner weren't doing. If he's running stride for guys in a Lou Anarumo system, bro, the scariest thing that I took out of all that stuff outside of the Burton conversation that we're about to have is that if Dax Hill is a guy that you could leave on an island at any point in the game, if it's a lesser than wide receiver, then the Bengals now I'm now looking at are possibly like one of the Super Bowl favorites, bro. Like, if they have a really good cornerback play, because think about it, as a Bengal fan, we're like just saying, well, we got Cantel Brett. I don't know about our secondary, and we'll figure it out. And, like all these different things, because we know what it's like with Eli Apple. If this dude is playing like this, bro, I just don't know. Like, and then if you saw the pass rush of Cedric Johnson, you saw Osai, you saw Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy had a good damn game. So, you know what I mean? Like, I walked away. That's why I said there was a lot of people that were kind of down on it. I didn't care about the score at the end of the game. We got hosed at the end of the game with the pass interference call anyway. But there were a lot of people. But I walked away from that and I said, bro, I liked a lot what I saw. Do you have a different perspective on that, or do you have anything that you want to point out on the defense?
No, I think like run defense was definitely bad, right? But like we didn't have a nose in there. Zach Carter, more of the Zach Carter struggling. Chris Jenkins, I was a little surprised on because, he's supposed to be a pretty good run stopper. He's still developing his pass rush. He did have one good stop, though. Like, I think everybody talked about the goal line play that he had, but he also had a pretty good stop. I'm worried about the depth at D tackle, so I get why everybody's saying that. But I think Dax, bro, and I was saying that, like, some people were being negative on Dax because of the reception that he gave up. And I was like, bro, that reception was crazy. Like, I don't know what other kind of position he could have been in. And, like, honestly, looking at it, Dax looked like one of the most comfortable players out there in the secondary. You saw him on those clips moving inside. I didn't even know he was inside on one play, outside like it was flawless. Then you talk about Fig side, like what are we doing? Like, he comes in there, he ends up getting a pick. The potential of this defense,
bruh,
is really high. I'm not saying that they're gonna be top 5 or anything like that.
Right.
Like, this could be a top 20 defense. I feel like if they're like 17, like, the league is in trouble because this offense is gonna be like top 5, top 10. So to me, like, the defense just being able to do what they did out there, and we talking about Meta adds a whole nother dimension to special teams, depth there. Like, I'm not gonna go out there, and I know a lot of people are like, bro, it's one game and this and that. Like, I'm not saying he's Vontaze perfect, but, like, the way this dude was playing, like, in on every play and on every sack, like on one of the plays, I think that was to Dax. Dude almost sacked the quarterback on that play. Like, bro, he popped off on the screen. I didn't know this guy before that game.
I didn't either. I didn't either. I apologize, Hude. Like, I didn't know nothing about our boys from Gridiron. They had a lot of good things. They said that his production was the 4th best. You know me, I'm a big now. Peyton Wilson for the Steelers. I'm a Wolfpack. He went crazy in that game. That was my favorite linebacker. He's a little older though. He's 24. But they say he had the 4th level of production out of older linebackers. And I started doing some research after the game and found out some ties that we had and, like, some different things with, Nebraska and all that stuff like that. So dude, it was incredible. I thought he popped off the screen. The one thing that I just keep on harping on, like you say, top 20, I think the Bengals had a potential being like a top 15. And I just think that you got to understand how the Bengals are created. A lot of our counterparts and all these different people that are going against us, they're not paying their quarterback $53 million. So the whole team is kind of centered around that and the efficiency of that and letting that carry. I'm telling you, on the back end, Jordan Battle in the clips you was just showing is a problem for people. They have to figure out a way to keep him on the field. Bro, he was going crazy. You think about Von Bell. Battle was going to knock somebody out the game. Yeah, Von Bell, with his ability to strip, him causing turnovers. You added the guy Geno Stone, who was 2nd in the NFL in interceptions last year, and then you had Cam Taylor-Britt, who was high up there in interceptions as well too, on the way to being All-Pro. You think about it. If the Bengals have a 10-point lead, nobody's running the football. And so now everything is geared to throwing against that. And to me, that's how I look at it. I don't think that they don't have a DJ Reader and they don't have a TJ Watt and they don't have a Myles Garrett. The conversation that we're always having with people right now is that the Bengals don't have, in the Joe Burrow era, they've never had a first-team All-Pro. I don't know if anybody's ever known that. So anybody tell you that Joe Burrow's carried, they don't know football. He's never had a first-team All-Pro. The best person on defense has been Trey Hendrickson, and then you have the cohesion and the efforts in the scheme of everybody else, and Logan Wilson getting all those interceptions, him being 2nd in the net. He's been first on all linebackers in interceptions since he's been drafted. You had Pratt making all these different plays. You have guys stepping up that are above average or really good, or some guys that are great at their position like Mike Hilton, but there are limited flaws here and there or whatever. And the cohesion of that is how the defense is made. You're not going to get a Minkah, all-pro level dude. So when it's time to, like, a slug mouth game, you're relying on scheme a lot more than a lot of the teams that we're going up against. Think about it. The Browns are paying their corners as such. They're paying Denzel Ward as one of the highest paid corners in all of football. So you can't try to say, well, why is our defense giving this up? You got to understand who we are. What they have that is really good on their end, we make up for it with our quarterback that will win games that are very, very meaningful. He will get you in clutch situations, and he'll throw for 300 yards every week. When their quarterbacks throw for 300 yards, they all celebrate on Twitter for weeks. That's normal for a Bengals fan. So it's a give and take, and you're not paying anybody on the defensive end to be elite. But what you have to do is get guys like Cam Taylor-Britt stepping up in his potential contract year, and all these other different dudes around it. And you start looking around, you say, damn, there's a lot of ball hawks. You talk about Dejon Anthony. You talk about all these guys that are around there that can make plays. And I'm like putting it together as I'm watching the game. I'm like, bro, they can make a lot of plays and cause a lot of turnovers. And if they get a lead, they're scary. They're scary. Because the one thing that you can say that you probably could exploit is if you get into a close game, you're going to run the football, and then the Bengals won't be one of the better run defensive teams in the National Football League. I think, to me, I think I understand that. But I dare teams to try to run in a close game with Joe Burrow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just going to come back and score touchdowns while you're still trying to run the football. And that game, to me, was a bit of a microcosm of how I see the game going. I mean, the season going. Yeah, they ran for 123 yards, but they had 7 points on the board when they were doing all of that. And I'm like, if Joe Burrow's out there, he's going to just throw the football and score touchdowns. So keep on. You know what I mean? That's how we took out Derrick Henry all the times before. And I don't know. That's just how I view the defense. I think everything that I said is backed by this is what we know. It's not a lot of unknowns other than the defensive front. And that's why I think a lot of people were like, bro, our run defense. And I agree. The run defense is not good enough.
No, for sure. Before we get into more, don't forget this show is sponsored by BETUS, where the games begin. And if Joe Burrow is here, I'm taking the over, man. 10.5 wins right now. You can go to BETUS. Put that in. You're going to end up getting 125% sign-up bonus on $2,000. You'll be able to get fast and easy deposits and withdrawals, live wagering on all major games. You want to put that 10.5 over? Check the link in the description by BETUS. Bro, Jermaine Burton, bro. Like, we're sitting there. I'm seeing you saying the same thing. I'm like, bro, where is Burton at? Like, I'm seeing Kwame Lassiter and all of these guys. Like, I'm like, where is Burton? Like, what's going on? They clipped to him like in full uniform on the bench, just like chilling. And I'm like, where is this guy? And then I'm seeing people say like, oh, he was working with the third team in camp. And then
I don't buy that.
It's just bombs, bro.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't buy that. I saw a lot of people say, bro, he's like wide receiver 6'7". You saw those tweets and stuff. I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell you what this is what people have told me, and this is what I think is really happened. Burton, when he hurt his ankle, lost a lot of time. It wasn't that he was in the doghouse, but he lost a week or two. So the staff was like, well, we're not just going to throw him out there with guys that have been getting it in all this time. Let's reward Trent Irwins. Let's reward even in practice. So that's why I seen people say, yeah, he was out there running with the threes. Yeah, bro, he was coming back from an ankle injury, and you know how the staff is about injuries.
Right.
So he comes back, he comes and cooks and does his thing. Guess what? Today he was running out there with them ones. So people was out there jumping out there and saying like, I think he's got an outside shot to make like wide receiver. Bro, he in a driver's seat. He's in a driver's seat for wide receiver 3. They said the same thing last year, saying that Yoshi might not make the team. I remember those tweets, like saying that he's a candidate for practice squad. No, sir. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. The Bengals front office and the Bengals coaching staff are not stupid. Like, they're not thinking. Like, even like the Matt Lee conversation, I seen a lot of people say, man, they might not. Zach Taylor told us early in this thing, do not pay attention to depth charts or any of that stuff. He said that to warn us for this. They're not stupid. Matt Lee will win the job over Trey Hill, and that's not a thing. Now, the math, I don't know if Trey Hill will still be on the roster, but Matt Lee is a guy. Matt Lee played his ass off in that game, and they had to understand. Like, I read so much of that, I didn't want to make it like it was conflict on there. But watch what happens with it. As long as Burton and Yoshi stay available and healthy, whatever, wide receiver 3-4, bro. Like, people overthinking this. And he came back from an ankle injury, bro. They're not just going like whatever. He comes out there today. He's wide receiver. He's running out there. They had the one with one of the clips we was. Oh, nah, I don't think you just showed. But I seen clips today or whatever. He's out there running with the big dogs. So don't buy into that. Bengals no talent. They're gonna let you saw Zach Taylor jump on that damn table on draft night.
Yeah, bro.
He know what's up with Burton.
He know what.
Can I say this one thing about Burton too? When Burton was out there, he was by far the best player out on the field, on the whole entire field. Shout out to Woodside for throwing him a dot, but Burton was that good. And the people that do not understand, they think that the Bengals lost Tyler Boyd and now there's going to be some level of drop off. I think they got a chance to see exactly what we're saying, is that this dude on the outside is a problem. If you got to deal with that on the outside, and then you got Jamar Chase in the slot, and then you got Tee Higgins on the other side that you could choose to double up if you want, what are y'all going to do? We didn't even throw it to Gesicki. Like, what are people like? That's the part that I be thinking, like, to the ops is like, what do you think is about to happen? Y'all think that any of them games that y'all had before where guys weren't missing? I remember when the Ravens beat us by like 2 points with no DJ Reader and Tee Higgins, and they were, the Bengals, we had just won 4 out of 5 games. They were going crazy. Like, oh my God, we beat him. I'm like, Tee Higgins didn't even play. If these dudes ever come out there, Bengals had the opportunity to play, bro. They have an opportunity to go 4 wide and be the scariest offense in the National Football League. The reason why a lot of these other teams like the Texans, who I think that their wide receiving core is really deadly too, and they have the depth behind it. But as I said earlier, CJ Stroud was protected by play action under center and stuff like that. They're not going to get an opportunity to see me. They got Mechie on the bench, Robert Woods, and Noah Brown. Their wide receivers. I don't think that they're going to have the opportunities that the Bengals do. The reason why they got Trent Brown and Amarius Mims is so that Burrow could spread people out like how he did at LSU and had them the wide receivers. And at the very least, you're going to see this in 11 personnel all the time. You can't say the same thing about the Texans. So when you say that the wide receiver core is the best in the league, I think they'll have an opportunity to show it. And I think at a minimum, you'll see 2,600 yards between Tee Higgins and Jamar Chase. And then the other two, you can maybe have 600-800 yards from Yoshi. You might get it from Trent Irwin. You might get it whatever, because that's the way our offense is made. A lot of these other guys that have these wide receivers, their offense isn't it's not a shot against them. I think that the Bears offense is really good with their wide receivers, but once you get past a doomsday, like it's, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the depth as the Bengals. The Texans have the depth, but the offense doesn't say we're going to figure out 4 or 5 wide receivers to get out there. So it's just a different animal, and I think people are going to be able to see exactly what we're saying as this year plays out. And if somebody goes out or dinged up or whatever, who cares? We just rotate another guy in there. We ain't even get in our Charlie Jones bag. You got guys like that as wide receivers 6 and 7.
Nah, for sure. Shout out to Tom Benjamin in the comments. Appreciate you stopping by, brother. Zim just was cooking, man. He was cooking, man. He was cooking, kind of like Burton on that Midwest Best Barbecue when he just straight up barbecue dude. Dude was barbecue chicken. Let's toss it to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. It's the AC to the Zim, M into the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause Zimby stay blazing. And T game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TV got big levels, and now you already know. Hits are pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Asian to the Zim, M into the B's.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. CTB wings, Dillinator wings, which I'm hearing the reviews coming in for those are amazing. You're talking about all kind of flavors. You're talking about all kind of barbecue, pulled pork, ribs. They even had shrimp this past weekend. They got it all there. Ice cream, if you're still in the mood for that. You're going to have to watch your waistline messing with Midwest Best Barbecue. The food is that good. The sides are that good. Arnold Palmer's, anything that you can think of. Midwest Best Barbecue has that. So stop in, let Tim and Nicole know that me and Zim sent you. So shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue. Getting back to the game, I feel like it's a lot of meat and potatoes in this. I feel like we got through that. Let's get to the dessert. I don't even know if this is dessert because it's not exciting, but the punter situation, because Brad Robbins, Ryan Raquel, I believe his name is pronounced. Seems like Ryan is kind of put himself ahead of Brad Robbins after this last game. Like, I'm tired of talking about punters, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I feel like Ryan just needs to get the job. He did his thing. Brad Robbins, you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're getting a 28-yard punt or a 60-yard punt. There's no consistency. What are your thoughts just on special teams? I know McPherson also had a missed field goal, but what were your thoughts on special team when it comes to this game?
I'm like you. I'm sitting there thinking, like, what are we doing? like I don't know. I'm just so tired talking about these daggone punters, bro. Like, let's get some consistency. I don't even know what to think. I don't know. I'm all like. I just want a consistent punter, man. I don't know what it's going to take. I thought Rico had some good ones. Brad Robbins did have a real good 56-yarder. He put him in whatever. But he starts off with that 37-yard shank, So it's not encouraging. You saw the Steelers move on from their punter this past year because of poor punting. The one that they punted, they drafted as well. So I don't know.
I got the solution, bro.
What's that?
Joe Burrow and this offense isn't putting this season at all.
That's the only thing I can think of is getting field goal range, bro.
That's the only way. But we also want to talk to you guys about another friend of the show, another supporter of the Wincinnati podcast, and that's Fans of Cincy. You can now book your travel with Fans of Cincy. They're going to cover your airfare. They're going to cover your travel to and from the game. They're going to cover your hotel. They pretty much have you covered all the way up until game day as well. You'll be able to enter into some of the tailgating experiences and things of that nature. You'll be able to go anywhere from Tennessee. You'll be able to go to Nashville, Dallas, anywhere that you're thinking of that the Bengals are playing. LA, Kansas City, Charlotte. That Kansas City game is week 2. Go ahead and make sure that you guys reserve your trip today with Fans of Cincy. You can do that for $200, as low as $200. You can do that. So you can book your entire family. You don't even have to worry about it. It's almost like putting it on autopilot for any of the Bengals road games. They also, if you just happen to be in town, say you're already there, they have tailgate tickets as well for $95. That's going to come with food. That's going to come with drinks. And I mean the adult beverages. It's going to come with that. And you'll be able to be around all types of Cincy fans. You can book that trip at fansofcincy.com. Me and Zim have actually used Fans of Cincy ourselves. We plan on using them this upcoming season. So make sure that you guys tap in with Fans of Cincy. So shout out to them for helping sponsor the Wincinnati podcast. Zim, before we get out of here, bro, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about with the game or just have any general thoughts?
I just think one of my biggest takeaways, like I said, is that Dax Hill won, the Burton won, the Tee Higgins. Those are the 3 that I cannot escape. Oh, can I say that Chris Jenkins, I thought played like that was the one. If I'm a little worried about anything, it's the Chris Jenkins one. I think that we're relying on him to do a lot. I think maybe he'll look different next to Sheldon Rankins and company, but I stock lower.
Stock low. Jackson Carmen,
Chris Jenkins.
Jackson Carmen, bro.
Oh, Jackson Carmen. Jackson Carmen, though, is like such a bum already that I just don't even – I don't know. Everybody was just going so crazy. Like, it's like they found out that he sucked. I don't know. Yeah. Like, we knew the night he was drafted, he wasn't the guy. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But I just really – I can't get past the fact that, bro, if Dax Hill is a guy on the outside, yeah, like give me. Let's play
him in CTB. That stock is up for sure. I think Miles Murphy
gives us an identity, bro. Like you have 2 bigger corners that are super athletic, not like no Legion of Boom. Like had that. Like Sherman and them weren't. They were big corners, but they weren't fast like that. Like if you got two big corners on both sides, and then DJ Turner is going down to the slot where he should be, to me, that he would be, if you're not going to extend Mike Hilton, like that would be the succession plan. Is like start getting DJ Turner in the slot. Let's get Dax and Can celebrate. To me, that's an identity because there's no team like speed wise. Both of them dudes running a sub 4.3, and then they got the size like 6'1". You know what I'm saying? These dudes like 6'1". They're not small, and size wise, like they're big corners. So like physicality, all these different things. If they could do that, that is something the Bengals haven't had in this Joe Burrow era where they went to a bowl. So can you imagine like what we look like in those games and like what Luke could then cook up? Like that's going to be very different. And I just look at this team and it's like I feel like that game, that first drive, in the overall the defense bend don't break, but making plays with their guys. Like I just think that's who the Bengals are, and it's going to make teams mad. There might be some close games throughout the year, and they'd be like, "Oh, we almost won." I'd be like, "Yeah, this is how we're set up." Like for the game to be kind of close like that, and then Joe Burrow comes down there and tears your heart out. Like that's how the team is set up. It's not going to be like the Browns where you're only throwing for 200 yards a game. It's not going to be like that. Luke going to give you, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a different scheme. And when Bengals fans buy into that and understand like who we are and how we operate, as long as they're scoring 20 something in their top 5 in the NFL in scoring, we're 2022 all over again. And I say 2022 because 2022 was better than 2021. And 2022 was a team that led the National Football League in first quarter scoring. They had a plus 62. The next closest team, I can't even tell you what it was. The Bengals would get out there, punch you in the mouth, and then stomp on you. And they did it all the way into a 10-game win streak. I think they could do the same thing with the offensive line of Mims and company up front in a defense that makes plays on the back end, and you got Joe Burrow slinging that pill like how he did Saturday. No Jamar Chase. Come on, bro. No Jamar Chase. Like we just won a whole show. We ain't even come on. Like Jamar Chase is arguably like a top 3 player in the National Football League. Yeah. And we're talking about Joe Burrow cooking like that with like no wonder the ops is in here scared to death in here trying to reassure. Look at the dude on the computer like Zim doesn't know a goddamn thing when he's talking about. You're sick and you're scared because Jamar Chase wasn't even out there. And when he comes out there, you're really gonna be scared because we score more than 10 points when we get to an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, man. Murphy and Osai stock is definitely up. I thought that they did well. Newton is up there. I even saw some people talking about Cordell Boson, so I think a lot of stock is up. I really want to see what Eric All brings. I saw him out there. He looked like the third tight end. I think Tanner McLaughlin, like I was kind of upset he didn't play more. He had a nice catch and run. He did his thing. Stock up Bengals offense, bro. Stock up Dax Hill. Like there's a lot of people that you could say stock up. Stock down Jackson Carman, Trey Hill, like the typical guys that we kind of discuss on this podcast. All of the receivers that were not named, Jermaine Burton, Andre Yosivas, and Trenton Irwin, like I didn't really see much from them. Unfortunately, we didn't see Akeem Butler until later. I think he needs to play before some of those guys that we saw for the majority of the game. Jake Browning, not the best outing for him either. Logan Woodside, I would say his stock is up. I still think, Jake Browning is definitely the guy there. But one last topic, bro. Before we get out of here, I just thought about this one. Any possible moves? Because I saw you on Twitter talking about, like, yeah, they need to trade this player and go get a D tackle. Like, do we need to make some more roster moves, like with the situation as it currently stands? Like if you're cutting Jackson Carman, do you need to get another tackle for depth? Because I feel like if you do, you need to do that. You might need to go out and get another D tackle or something like that, just in the case that you do move on from a Zach Carter, because you don't have much after that.
I think that I'm still in the running for, if they're not going to use Chris Evans at all, maybe in these next couple games, whatever. I'm still in the running for, like, I want a more power back. Maybe I don't know if y'all saw this, but P. Ryan had a bad drop that ended up being an interception. I could see P. Ryan maybe getting picked up, but somebody in that mode at a running back position. I really think that that's still a need, is like another depth guy that could go 1-2 with Zach Moss, and then you get the burst to Chase Brown. The other one that I would say is interior offensive line. I think that they looked at Jackson Carman more as like one of the tackles off the bench. I don't know if he's the first one off the bench because now you have Mims and then they like Cody Ford. So I'm looking at interior offensive line, and I think they need 2 of them, bro. Like Matt Lee is straight. Like Matt Lee played his butt off, but you need a guard with flexibility to be able to play center and guard, and another guard that has the ability to do what Jackson Carman does and play guard and tackle. And I don't know who that guy is out there. The other one is trade. I put out a list of like 4 or 5 D tackles that I think that they could maybe go make a trade for. The only thing is a lot of these teams aren't willing to give up like bottom of the rotation defensive tackle guy. Our only asset that I could see, people be like, trade Jackson Carman. Who the hell would want this dude after he just played like that? Tanner Hudson, I don't think can make the roster, but I think a lot of teams that were about to cut down one of their players, right, I think would say, okay, we were about to cut down this guy at D tackle, and the Bengals could have a conversation and say, let's make a move and do a Tanner Hudson one. I think you can get a low-end interior defensive line guy, and that's about it. And maybe for Tanner Hudson, but the positional value of defensive tackle is higher. Another guy that's out there too is JPP. As a Cam Sample maybe replacement. JPP made a tweet and said, whoever gets me is going to a Super Bowl. I wouldn't mind bringing him in. Some of the other ones like Hassan Reddick, the amount of money that he makes and stuff like that, we're not even paying Tee Higgins. Like I don't see it.
No, for sure. I think like maybe camp cut down. They'll try to go out there and try to grab some of these pieces. D tackle, I think is an obvious need. Offensive line, maybe depth as a backup center, like outside of Matt Lee. I don't know. He doesn't have guard flexibility, so maybe you're looking for a backup interior lineman as well. We'll see what happens. I think the Bengals will put some claims in, and I think like Zim is saying, you might see them do some player-for-player trades, which isn't something foreign to what they've done in the past. We've seen it happen before, especially on cut down day. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. But that is going to end our podcast. You can catch the Wincinnati podcast live every Monday and Wednesday. Once again, shout out to BETUS for sponsoring the show, and shout out to you guys for listening. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button on YouTube, on Twitter. Make sure you're retweeting our content. We truly appreciate that. But thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.